Hey, best friend. This is going to be an interesting topic for us today. Have you ever found yourself instantly irritated, frustrated, or even hurt by something someone said or did? Maybe it was a comment or a look, even the way they ate their crackers was wrong, or just being left out of something. Whatever it was, you felt that sting of offense. Here's the thing though, no one's going to be surprised by this. Offense is optional. You get to select it or not. And when you stop taking things personally, you step into a level of emotional freedom that most people don't experience unless they walk around unoffended. So let's break it down. Why offense affects more than you think, what it really is, and how to handle it in a way that makes you unshakable. Because who doesn't want that, right? Because, Bestie, honestly, life is way too short to be walking around collecting offenses like they're rewards. And probably you know this person or you are this person. That drama has followed you everywhere you go. You're always offended about something. And maybe this isn't you. Maybe you're not always offended about something. But you find that you're offended more often than you'd like. Well, this matters because offense keeps you stuck. When you hold on to offense, what you're actually doing neurologically is you're trapping yourself in this cycle of resentment and negativity. Neuroscience actually shows that when you replay offense over and over and over, it activates stress pathways in the brain, meaning every time that you unleash it, it reacts as if it's happening again. Every time that you unleash it, it draws on all the other times that you felt offended. Yikes. Your unconscious mind takes everything personally. If you listened to my episode last week on the unconscious mind, you know that it takes everything personally. Your unconscious mind is symbolic. So it sees patterns and meanings where there might not actually be any. You might actually just be taking stuff personally that has absolutely nothing to do with you. Has that ever happened to you where you looked back and you're like, wow, that was not about me at all? Yeah, if you constantly feel offended, your unconscious mind is reinforcing the belief that people don't respect you, that you're not valued, that you don't matter, whatever it is, even if it's not true, because the unconscious mind takes things personally. Now, if you have a bunch of nonsense running around in there, it's going to link that nonsense up to each other. Here's the thing. You can't grow and be offended at the same time. Really, what we focus on shapes our reality. I mean, I want you to recall a time in your life when you were offended about something. I mean, I bet that your brain was swirling around it. You thought about it over and over. You came back, you revisited. Maybe you added more details and color to the experience each and every time that you thought about it, that you told it. Yeah. And the more that you focus on that, the more that that becomes your reality. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a reality that's full of offense. I don't want a reality that's full of negativity and frustration. What I actually want in my life is a lot of goodness and warmth and forgiveness for people and letting stuff go. So, if you want to really evolve and live your best life, you cannot afford to let every little thing derail you emotionally. I mean, I know that there are at least a few of you that are listening to me that are like, yeah, when I get in that hole, it is dark, it is deep, and I am there for a while. And that emotional hole is exhausting. Yeah, offense is exhausting. Well, okay, what is offense specifically? An offense is a reaction to perceived disrespect, hurt, or injustice. The key word here, friends, perceived. Why perceived? Well, the truth is, most of the time, this is going to be a hard truth for you, friend. I'm telling you the truth today, please. Just most of the time, people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. I'm just letting that land for a second. I promise I really like you. That's why I'm saying this to you. Perceived hurt. Most of the time people are not, now don't get me wrong, I know that girls could be mean, but most of the time they're really not just walking around thinking about how they can ruin your life. So much of offense is perceived. It is the glasses that you have on that you're looking through the world through. And by the way, people that tend to get offended often. Yeah, because they're looking at the world through eyes of somebody slighting me. They're doing this to me on purpose. It's because I'm X, Y, and Z ways. Well, offense often really equals that expectations have not been met. That we feel offended when someone doesn't behave the way that we expected them to or think they should, which by the way is a trap. Shoulds are a trap. So you assume that your friend should invite you to their event, and they don't. Instant offense right away. But maybe they assumed that you were busy. Maybe they didn't think that you were interested in what they were interested in. Whatever it is, it's instant offense. You have made a meaning. I did a whole episode on meanings. You made a meaning of why they did what they did. All right, here we go. Offense is a choice. Whew. Offense is a choice. You can choose to be offended or not. I think about Viktor Frankl's research on human resilience, and it really showed that we always have control over our responses, not the situation. And if you don't know who Viktor Frankl is, he survived the Holocaust. So I think that he has a few things to say on human resilience and our ability to control our response, not the situation. So when you pick up an offense, friend, you are making the choice to let it take up space in your mind. You are making that choice. Now, I know that the fact that I'm saying you so many times might make you feel offended at like, Dr. Britt, why are you freaking pointing your finger at me? Well, if you're feeling offended by what I'm saying, there's probably a reason. There's probably a reason that you are choosing to hold on to things that don't belong to you, that don't need to belong to you, that are exhausting. Albert Einstein, pretty sharp guy, wild hair, but sharp guy. He said, arrows of hate have been shot at me too, but they never hit me because somehow they belong to another world with which I have no connection whatsoever. If you want to take something personally, that's your choice. If you want to be offended, that's your choice. If you want to be offense free, that's your choice. If you want to go, you know what? I'm going to assume good intent. That's your choice. So, how do you handle offense like a pro? Let's say that something happens, perceived reality doesn't matter, and you're offended. Well, the first part is to recognize often that it's not about you, it's about them. You've heard the saying, hurt people hurt people. Yeah, I know that you have. There's another piece to this, though. Our offense often reveals our own wounds, insecurities, and expectations. It shows what's going on in us. What things are we still carrying around that we don't need to be carrying around? I want to encourage you, ask yourself, why did that comment bother me? What belief about myself did it challenge? Am I reacting to this moment or past hurts? And by the way, offense, people that walk around in offense a lot, that is often a sign of baggage because baggage is a picture of reacting to a situation in a way that's inappropriate or unwarranted. A lot of times when we're offended, or at least the level of offense, it's inappropriate and unwarranted for the situation. And yet, here we are, carrying it around, nursing it, telling everybody about it. Just the fence probably could die if we'd stop talking about it, which is my next one. You've got to stop replaying the story. I don't know how many times that I've said this on my podcast in general, but your brain has neuroplasticity. It reinforces whatever you are focused on. The more that you tell it, the more that it's going to reinforce your justification for being how you are, feeling how you feel. Yeah. When you replay the offense over and over and over, you are training your mind to be offended. You are training your mind to be offended. So practice reframing it. Practice assuming, there we go, assuming good intent. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. I don't have all the information, so I don't want to assume worse. I bet there were other things going on in their life. Yeah. I mean, I think about even keyboard trolls. Man, people are crazy. That's really the truth. People say stuff that is wild, wild. And I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna be offended by that, it's gonna be my choice. This Yahoo doesn't even know me. Or maybe they do know you. Maybe this is a person that you're really close with. Wouldn't it be better to assume good intent about them? Wouldn't it be better for your relationship for you to go, I bet they didn't mean to do that. Yeah. Ask better questions. So, after you assume good intent, after you reframe it, you want to challenge that offense. Maybe you do it directly, or maybe you do it indirectly, internally. Maybe you go to them and you say, what did you mean by that? Or maybe internally, you're like, well, what other reasons could they have for doing that? Maybe you say, hey, could you clarify what you were trying to say here? Even asking yourself, is it possible I misunderstood? And by the way, there is always some shred of possibility that you misunderstood. There was always some shred of possibility that you misunderstood. So many times we get fixed. A fixed mindset says it is this way and there is no other way. Well, if you were to ask yourself, is it possible I misunderstood? Really, what that is a curious mindset. It puts you in a place to go, well, what other reasons could this happen? Is it possible I misunderstood? And pretty much most of the time, when you can clear up a misunderstanding, it neutralizes the offense. This is powerful to talk about stuff. It's powerful to talk about stuff. Then you need to decide if it's worth your energy. I have to be honest with you. I have a saying that I say probably at least once a day, honestly. Where there's like stuff I could be bothered by or offended by. Sometimes students do crazy things and then they attack you for it and they attack your character. And mostly I'm like, man, not my circus, not my monkeys. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Oh, this person's making this whatever. It's like drama. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Most things are just really not worth my energy. I have so much peace in my life, friends, because I don't devote my energy to nonsense. So maybe consider asking yourself, does this actually impact my life in a meaningful way? This one will really get you because it starts to put you out in the future. Will this actually matter in a week, a month, a year? I don't know about you, but most of the time when I sleep on stuff, it doesn't even matter anymore. I'm like, I just let that one go. Oh, I slept on it. Okay, well, bye bye. Yeah. If the answer is no, will this even matter? Does this actually impact my life in a meaningful way? If the answer is no, Let it go. Insert Elsa singing here, let it go. The next thing that you can do is just choose to have a higher perspective. Proverbs 19:11 says, "A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense." Overlook offenses. Take the higher road. Have you ever heard the saying that unforgiveness is like poison, drinking poison and expecting the other person to die? Yeah, this is about like that. When you are walking around with offense in your life, you are the one that's hurting. It's like, I don't know, taking a hammer to your to your leg every time you bring up this offense. It's not bothering the other person, it's bothering you. Yeah, think about that and just let it go. I love stoicism. I really connect to positive psychology, and those those theories, those ways of seeing the world really talk about focusing on what you can control and not what you can't. Friend, I can't control what someone else does to me. I can't control how I respond to it. I can't control who they are, how they are, all the which ways that they do what they do, but I can control how I respond. And I don't want to be a person that's walking around with offense. Uh, I'm totally gonna botch his name. I'm post flu brain right now, and my brain is just not functioning the way that I wish it. I wish it did. Um, I think it's Epictetus. That's what my brain's telling me right now. So in the first century, he said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments of things." And this comes back to curiosity. This comes back to really letting it go, of going, I'm not going to make a judgment about that. Because often, if I'm making a judgment about that, I'm making a judgment about the other person. I think about the world that we live in right now. I swear, and it's social media makes it so much more. It's like everyone and their mom is offended about something in some way about some person. If you see the world from a different political lens than somebody else, it's like the massive amount of offense there is sometimes mind blowing. And really, it's our judgments about the person, the thing, the whatever, and just going, well, it's a curious view. It's curious to see through the world that way. All right. But I'm not making judgments about them. Again, just the power of reframing it. And you do this when you're seeing the world through a higher perspective. It's like, okay, they disrespected me. Maybe they're having a bad day. You know, maybe the tone of this email is not reading as intended. Maybe they're having a bad day. You never know what somebody else is going through. You never know. I know this is a shorter episode. Sometimes we just need those. And I just really want to encourage you to really ask yourself some questions. If you're walking around with offense, if this is something that you struggle with, I just maybe reflect on some of these questions. So the first one is, what type of situations tend to offend me the most? And here's the kicker. And what does that reveal about me? The second, how do I typically respond to offense? Do I react? Do I hold on to it or let it go? Three, is there a past unresolved hurt that's making me more sensitive to certain comments or situations? Four, what belief do I need to adopt to be less offended and more at peace? And finally, five, how would my life change if I stopped taking things personally? I'm willing to bet really good. Friend, come join me on the Besties community. Come have conversations with me about this. If you have a friend that's offended easily, share this episode with them. Now, they might be offended that you shared it, and that's nothing about you. That's about them, right? But maybe you go, my friend needs to hear this. They're walking around in offense, and they just don't have to. Friend, offense is a trap, right? It's a trap. It keeps you stuck, bitter, distracted from what actually matters in your life. Here's the truth. You're too powerful, too purposeful, too filled with potential to let little things steal your joy, or big things. Maybe it's a big offense to steal your joy. Let's together live lighter, love deeper, and step into the freedom of not taking everything or anything personally. Until next time, bestie.